we simply insist upon the right of all people to be free to live under governments of their own choosing.
President Morgan of American Broadcasting Company. Mr. President, even if we succeed in preventing further warfare in the Middle East, the sorry facts seem to be, as assessed by Western observers, that we have suffered a tremendous loss, we meaning the West, and the Russians have made a tremendous gain. How do we propose to redress that balance, or are we writing off as a fact the permanence of Russian influence in the Middle East?
Well, I don't know that you could eliminate influence entirely, but I think that the free world today, in particular every small nation, would be very, very careful about becoming too closely related to Russia. They have seen what can happen when Russia gains domination over the country. Now, well, there's much more to this question, I assure you, that's been asked in one brief statement of that kind. Now, this is what I'd say. The United States has tried and will continue to try to be friends with every single nation in this area. And we have helped in the past, we stand ready to help in the future for every one of them that wants to live or abide by the general charter and directives of the United Nations. Our help will be given and has been given without any conditions attached. No strings of economic or political imperialism are traceable to the efforts we've made to be friends with these people. We want, and we believe this, that our efforts to be friends with both sides in the Arab-Israeli quarrel is the best thing we can do for both sides in order to bring about friendships finally and relations between them, because it is perfectly clear in the long run they need each other. The Arabs need the manufacturing capacity of Israel. Israel certainly cannot live isolated and trading with no one in the world except Europe and the United States. So, far from giving up, the second that this is out of the way, I want to intensify our efforts of understandings between these nations, the Arabs from one end to the other, and with Israel, in order that we can bring about this state of at least toleration that will allow them to trade and therefore to raise their own standards of living. And remember this one thing. We are trying to be friends with both sides. We don't pick a side in one of these quarrels. A nation such as Russia, under a dictatorship, picks a side they want to woo for the moment, and they have to care nothing at all about the other side. Every move we make must be balanced by our consideration of justice for both sides. That's very clear, I think.
President, Sarah McClendon of the El Paso Times. This question has to do with internal politics. I wonder if you have, or if you will, use your influence in any way with Governor Shivers of Texas to try to win that Senate seat for the Republicans. Would you do that by asking him to call a special election or asking him to run for the office himself?
The internal affairs of the state of Texas are something that I would never dream of interfering with. I would. Now, if you say, do I want a Republican senator from Texas? Yes.
Grant, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. On Tuesday night, you spoke of modern republicanism. What are your plans for greater effort to bring about cooperation with a certain group, your party, in Congress, to assert your leadership for modern republicanism?
Well, there's this. I'd say this. In these 4 years ahead of us, I intend to work for such a concept industriously and incessantly. And I think that there is before the American people now, including even these people that you rather allow to stay anonymous, that must convince even them that some change in the understanding that the public has of the Republican Party is necessary. Now, I think I can tell you in a word what I believe about this modern, or in a few sentences, what I think about modern republicanism. It is a type of political philosophy that recognizes clearly the responsibility of the federal government to take the lead in making certain that the productivity of our great economic machine is distributed so that no one will suffer disaster or privation through no fault of his own. Now, this covers the wide field of education and health and so on. But we believe likewise in the free enterprise system. We believe that it is free enterprise that have brought these blessings to America. Therefore, we are going to try our best to preserve that free enterprise and put all of these problems in the hands of localities and the private enterprise of states wherever we can, because it happens that the great difference, as I see it, between myself and people of a philosophy that believes in centralized government is that I believe to have this free enterprise healthy, you must have first integrity in your fiscal operations of the government. Second, you must preserve a sound dollar, or all of our plans for Social Security and pensions for the aged fall by the wayside. They're no good. And thirdly, in this dispersion of power. Now that, at home, as I see it, represents modern republicanism.
President, on that very point, in the first, your first 4 years, there was criticism that you merely made recommendations, as I remember, and that you did not take personal leadership in working with members of Congress.
Mr. Brandt, leadership is a word and a concept that's been more argued than almost any other I know. I am not one of the desk-pounding type that likes to stick out his jaw and look like he is bossing the show. I would far rather get behind and recognizing the frailties and the requirements of human nature, I would rather try to persuade a man to go along, because once I persuaded him, he'll stick. If I scare him, he'll stay just as long as he's scared, and then he's gone.